If someone doesn't respond the first time, then try to bug them the second and the third. And also like nepotism, like it's like it. It's how the business works. I'm sorry. Like how many game studios you have from Nebraska and how many you have from California.
Right. Yeah.
Or like, it's like when I went to GDC twice, it's like everyone's is in the area of San Francisco and everybody knows everybody and the journalists know the developers, etc. And I mean, we're a small company in a post communistic Czechoslovakia that got split and actually like yes, from Czech Republic, a lot of friends who are from Slovak Republic work in Czech studios. Actually, Beat Saber, Beat Saber.
The VR game.
Beat Saber is not a Czech game; it's Slovak game. Two Slovaks made the game, right? And they sold it to Facebook for a huge amount of money, right? So from this region, a lot of games are coming to the market. Even Poland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary. Now there are a lot of studios that provide services for bigger businesses, and maybe it's because we did have a limited access to gaming, and we had to make our own games since childhood.
I think it's cool that there's more and more games, especially in the indie space, coming from so many more places now. Even though video games aren't easy to make, it's a lot more accessible to try to make them than it used to be. And there's a lot more ways to get things out there than there used to be with stuff like itch or getting stuff on Steam or whatever. There's a lot more avenues to go down now, and so many people from all over the world can get things out, and it's honestly great because you get so much more. Also, I think that's why indies are making some of the more ambitious and interesting games out there too.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, one thing that we need to change, we need to be more flexible. We are really like I call our studio like dinosaurs. We're really like around 40-ish years old, and
what? There's nothing wrong with that age.
No. I mean,
I'm 45 this year.
But not
dinosaurs.
Not when you want to make something like think out of the box, right? Me, myself, and Matej, we tend to think a lot of in what's the word, like walk lanes, or like the lanes that we used to take to solve a lot of things, and we not really that inventive anymore,
right? And
we don't really want to risk as much anymore because we have like livelihoods, right? And you obviously can land a good game development job in a company and don't have to spend your earnings to make an indie game that has some really wacky idea, but it's mostly reserved for the younger developers, right? So but maybe we can come to a sweet spot, a compromise, in this, and so that's what we need to learn. And I didn't really want to sound like success in game development means you have to have protection or use nepotism, but it's really something that really helps. And nepotism, I mean that in not really in that like a pejorative way. I mean it in a way where like I saw our tweets skyrocket when I just sent a tweet like for retweeting to Marky or Fairweather, like our mappers who are from communities and have friends who have friends who have friends, right? So it's not nepotism in that bad kind of way, but you basically have to utilize any context you have for spreading the word.
Yeah, I get you. You got to play the game.
Yes,
sorry.
Yeah, of course.
I said you got to play the game.
I got a question. You mentioned at the beginning that you've done work for large AAA studios. So what is the difference in terms of the process of making a simple decision and creating something from? You're laughing already. I can hear you're going to give a story from a AAA studio versus what you're doing now.
Yeah, so it's a great question. First of all, like the studio that I worked at that made games for Activision, it was like a AA studio. We did hunting games for like Cabela's Hunting Adventures and Dangerous Hunt and this kind of stuff. So
Deadforge as well.
So it was not really AAA, but then the studio,
someone doing that.
Then the studio went and became part of Bohemia Interactive and worked on Arma. and Daisy, I think. I'm not sure. I was out of the company then, and then I did some assets for Mafia 3 through some kind of third-party studio that was supplying assets, and then other projects. Like, it's a long story. So what is different? Like, it's extremely different. Like, first of all, like, we don't do overtime. Like, I do overtime. I do. Guys don't. Like, I'm telling them, like, don't do overtime. We don't do crunch. Like, really, there was a situation where there was crunch needed, and I was like, guys, let's not do this. But the guy said, like, we want to, right? So, and I experienced horrible crunch in company where we were releasing the game in September, October, and during the whole summer, I worked 6 days a week, 10 to 12 hours, and the Saturdays, we went out, because, like, you were so stressed and you had to let your steam out, and then I was sleeping during Sunday, and it was over and over for multiple months, and it was so taxing. Like, if I wouldn't do jiu-jitsu during that time in the mornings, right before work, I would lose my mind. Basically, it's and the situation, like, I don't really want to tell everything because a lot of the stuff is quite toxic, but yeah, I mean, the main thing is the value of human resource, so to say. I mean, we know each other, and we are quite tightly knit, and we do have arguments, right? Like, as every family has arguments, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be the main thing. Also, the Q&A, for example, how it worked in the bigger companies, and compared to us, we test our games ourselves a lot. Like, really, we test them, and we have like a bug reporting system built in right in the game, where it creates a screenshots, and like, you write the description, send it to Asana as a ticket, and then we sort it, and we basically repair the bugs. So this was really different, and yeah, the overall feeling, like, you are. I can't say on behalf of the guys, because, like, mostly the leadership is on my shoulders, but I think, like, last time Dark, our Peter coder, who's basically one of the best programmers I've ever met, we talked about, like, what if it doesn't work out and we have to close the studio, and he said, like, yeah, I would like to continue together even after that, because, like, me imagining working at some sound system for another Arma game, or collision system, or rendering system for another hunting game. He was fed up with it. It's like he doesn't really want to go back to it.
Yeah. I very much identify, having worked for myself after being made redundant from a corporation. It's a way of life and control and happiness that you feel, this is my thing, I'm doing what I love, and I can't go back to that way of life.
I have something for you.
Okay, Tyler Brannon from In the Keep, and we've touched on this briefly, but he was just trying to confirm, is Marky Music Pro still working on Gravelord?
Yeah, Marky actually did a couple of maps. I think two, the second one and the third one for the first episode. And we're still in touch. Like, Marky is, if he's not actively involved, he's still giving us his thoughts and feedback. So I consider him as a part of the team. But and I'm also looking for maybe him doing some more maps for second and third episode.
A resounding yes.
He's a busy guy. Like, he's one of the most talented people I've ever met. Like, I mean, his musical stuff and his level design and many other things that he probably does that we don't know of. But I would really love for Marky being on the team even for the second and the third episode.